with. So, and definitely, like, I was always into art, I was always into sculpture. I had my first art exhibition when I was 14 years old, and the author of the book is Think Like a Monk is Jay Shetty. Well, I'm a person who reads a lot of books, so I would say this is the current favorite book.
In this episode, we are going to having an interview with Mrs. Rafaella Fernando. We all know that she is award-winning photographer, award-winning fashion designer, and a bridal consultant. So I'm willing to call you Rafi.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm going to ask you that how do you feel today?
I feel great, and I'm really looking forward to this interview.
Okay. So Rafi, I'm going to ask you 10 questions.
Okay.
So let's move to the first question.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to ask you that how do you see yourself as a person?
Well, I think it's a very subjective matter because I can always see myself differently and someone else would see me differently. So I see myself as a very creatively curious person. I've always been that way since I was a kid. So that's something I see myself as. Apart from that, I would say a very sensitive person because I look into all the details usually. So like attention to detail, and also, as I told, creatively curious.
So let's move to the next question.
Okay.
If you make a brief introduction to your career.
Well, as a profession, I work in couple of professions. So to start with, I work as a photographer, and I work as a fashion designer and a stylist. So apart from that, I work as a consultant for bridal and fashion purposes, and then also I work as a lecturer. So these are the things which are on my plate. So, and if I have to give a brief introduction, as a designer, this is my 15th year, and as a photographer, this is my 13th year. Yeah.
Okay, Rafi, I'm going to ask you the question.
Okay.
So, why did you decide to pursue such a career?
Well, Hiran, since I started dreaming of a career from a right mind, designing has always been my number one priority, and I'm a fashion graduate as well. So then definitely paths changed to photography because when I started doing designing, and I didn't see many females in this industry at that time. Now, of course, we have so many talented female photographers. So back in the days, I didn't see. So that was like I said, I'm very curious. It's the path that I wanted to check myself in. So then that is one thing that I always wanted to do. And my grandmother actually played a big role. She has been a fashion inspiration for me. So she has traveled the world, and yes, definitely. So she really inspired me. Always, she used to, show me pictures of the places that she has traveled to, and she has really great fashion sense. So since I was a child, so these are the kind of things that I was fed with. So, and definitely, like, I was always into art, I was always into sculpture. I had my first art exhibition when I was 14 years old, and I had one of my paintings at the National Art Gallery in Japan when I was 12 years old. So I had that exposure since I was a child. So I think it definitely, it was a very organic flow for me to get into this career.
Rafi, let's move to my fourth question. So, I'm going to ask you that if you recall some of the achievements you have achieved in your career so far.
Well, I think working and being consistent for the 15 years itself is an achievement, I would say. And and as my achievements, I would say by now I have about 13 fashion and photography awards, and I was the first to showcase at the London Fashion Week, and then also the 69th and the 71st Cannes Film Festival, and then. I won this International Achievers Awards London. That was out of 310 contestants from from all around the world. So, and I was the only Asian to win the award as well.
So glad
And then the BEFTA UK awards, where they award world ranks. So I have the 8th world rank out of Europe and all these countries. So these I look back as very fondable memories, and also I was a Yes, of course. And also, I was a semi-finalist at the New York Fashion Awards in the Best Fashion Photographer category, and then also I was one of the designers for the London Fashion Week, where they did a collection for the Prince Charles Charity Trust. So these are fond memories, and I look at them as achievements, of course. And more than all these things, I believe like being consistent for 15 years itself is an achievement. Coming from like a very male-centric industry, I would say, for photography, but which has changed now, because
You
back
are
in the
famous writer.
I wouldn't say so, but definitely I'm trying to pave a path, because I feel females need to move forward, females need to work with females, and that culture is very new and very foreign in our country, which is blooming beautifully, of course. I wouldn't have any other thoughts about it. It's a good start.
Okay, Rafi, let's move to my fifth question. Are you satisfied with the achievements you have made in your career so far?
Of course, I'm very satisfied, and I'm a very positive person, Hiran. So, like, usually, like, we definitely do have drawbacks in any career, not only mine. In any sort of career, we definitely do have ups and downs. So, it was not all, sunshine and rainbows, all
We
this,
all have.
of course. So, all this years, so it has been hard, it has been easy. So,
That's
it's
called
a mix.
life.
Definitely, that's called life. It's a mix of all these situations. So I'm very satisfied to see when I look back on my career. I feel happy for the achievements I've made and how far I have come in this industry, which I started as like a very fun thing. Like I said, I was always very curious, not taking the job so seriously, because I was about 16, 17 years old when I started. So of course that time, not you're not very serious about anything. So I am actually very
We all
satisfied.
should like that.
Definitely.
So, okay, Rafi, I'm going to ask you my sixth question. Rafi, what are the future prospects of your career?
uh, with the current situation, Hiran, to be honest, we none of us know what the future holds for us, and with the country situation, and also the industry is not looking great. So of course, in future I'll be
Whole industries are collapsed.
yes, I'll be working on a couple of international projects, and I think that is where we can bring dollars to the country, at the same time also level up our game as well. Because in this country, we definitely need to have our plan A, plan B, plan C. So, however, how many plans we make,
We cannot say
sometimes
which
it
way
might
goes.
just definitely, because it's hard to safeguard a personal brand or like a career for a longer time in this current situation. So the current, like the future projects, I'm looking at a couple of international projects, and I'm working on a couple of international projects as well. So I am hoping for the best.
Best of
Will
luck.
thank
My
you,
best regards.
thank you so much.
Okay, Rafi, let's move to my seventh question. What do you have to say to the aspirants who are looking for this industry? What do you have to say to the aspirants who are willing to come to this industry?
Well, I would say, Hiran, most of the time what people ask is what sort of a industry is this? It's a lovely place if you're talented, if you're passionate to work in this industry, and you have to be very genuine and loyal to your art. When you're blessed with a certain art, so you need to respect it, be genuine and loyal to it. So that's what I always say. And this whole industry has become like a rat race most of the time. It's very cutthroat, and we are always competing with someone or the other. So always make sure you're competing with
There's a huge
yourself.
competition.
There is a huge competition, but I think more than competing with someone else, just compete with yourself. Because with the current situation of the country, current situation of the industry, everyone who's coming new to the industry, what I always say is, whatever you create always starts from your head. It always creates here. So you have to keep your mind safe,
Obvious.
mind clean, and healthy. So mental health is something I always say, before you get into something and get depressed with it, always know if you really want to pursue in this particular
We don't
career.
have to get some space now.
Of course not, of course not. But it is very stressful, even though we like it or not, the industry is very stressful. So definitely understanding your potential and understanding your talent and passion is very, very important when you really step into industry such as the creative industry or the entertainment industry as such.
Okay, Rafi, we are going to have the book segment. How about
Okay,
that?
okay.
So I'm going to ask you. My first question is the best book you have ever read.
Well, I'm a person who reads a lot of books, so I would say this is the current favorite book that I started reading. I read this 2 years ago, and I have reread this about multiple times afterwards because this, you know, the author of the book is Think Like a Monk is Jay Shetty, who himself was a monk, a former monk. He was at ashram. He left that, and then now he's a very successful life coach. So the way he guides people into lives, getting to know yourself and having a focused and a positive life is very important. And I think so because of that reason this book is one of the best books that I've read
You
so
have
far.
read.
Yes.
Okay, Rafi, what you have gained from that book?
What I have gained from the book, like whatever the book we read, Hiran, we gain so much from that book. So from this book, I discovered myself because I was introduced to this book at a time when we hit the first wave of COVID. So of course, that time, like our dreams were shattered, work was stuck in one place. We
Everyone
were
was stuck.
everyone was, so we were all over the place thinking what's next, what we are going to do next. So in that particular situation, getting introduced to a book like this was like a blessing for me, I would say, because this book made me be more focused and be more skillful. I learned so many new things and being patient. And the most loveliest thing in this book is it always talks about the monk mind and the monkey mind. The monkey mind, as in we are all over the place, we do so many things, various things, we eat whatever we want, we do all the sorts of things. The monk mind is you have a discipline. So this book taught me discipline because that is, I feel, the most important thing a book can do to you as well. It's like having your in-house teacher while you're learning so much about life. And I think discipline was one of the biggest things that I learned, and also being self-conscious, learning about awareness, knowing about how important life is, and how many things that we can do, and that always I'm the one who's responsible for my life story. I always have the responsibility to change it the way I
To
want.
direct your own self.
Yes, definitely. So changing my life the way I want, that power is always within me. So that I understood from this book, and yeah.
Okay, Rafi, let's move to our last question.
Okay.
What does reading bring to society?
Reading bring to society a very fulfilled generation. Fulfilled as in, like, it's always different. The books that you read are not the books that I read, and the everyone is reading different kind of books, and everyone is filled with different information. So we always spend so much time on the internet. We connect with people, we try to get information, but it always ends up being very personal. What the other person ate, what the other person dressed. But with books you learn, it's like a walking talking school. Whatever the book you read, even if it's a cookery book, whether it's a nursery rhyme, you always learn something. And I think the book is a form where you can focus and be very positive and create consciousness. Also having that observation and empathy, like a book reader always looks into other people. If
Reading
you're
is always blessing a friend.
it is definitely, if you're having a bad day, a reader would notice. We become empathetic. But and the society needs such people who are empathetic, who has a kind heart, where people can relate. It's not all about just understanding each other, but understanding, and maybe they could help in a certain way that we never think, just like this book helped me. And something I always want to say is, even I was a dyslexic kid when I was very young. So I had a major difficulty in reading and writing. But the thing is, most of the time, people think dyslexic is like people are not intelligent when they are dyslexic. But it does not affect your intelligence.
We
But
can say
it is a educational disorder. But the Wright brothers, Thomas Alva Edison, they also had the dyslexia.
a lot
Uh,
of scientists.
they do, and that is like where your brain works in a different speed. So I think at that time I was not able to read or write for a very long time, but now I'm currently working on my own book. So of course it definitely turned tables, and that's what a book does to you, and that's why books are very important.
Actually, we are going to nationalize 100 mini libraries across the island. So, actually, what do you think about it?
I think that's a wonderful initiative because, Hiran, sometimes we have to make people read with their busy schedules or whatever the situations. Many people have really drawn their ways away from books, and they're very much focused on the internet or the phones or like some e-read on different they buy ebooks and all that. So the thing is, when you physically have a book in your hand, it is a very different feeling. And like I said before, so many times, like it builds us. Like a house, like every book is like a brick. So it's very important, and I think it's a wonderful and a lovely initiative to bring such a pure thought to the system, where the system is very corrupted. So having all that
We all are
corruption,
corrupt.
definitely we are definitely part of this corrupted system. So bringing some sort of a pure initiative like this mini library or like a bookcase is very novel, and it's very important. And also it is a power move, I would say, because as the young generation of this country, we know what sort of contribution books have done to us. So definitely, like, we need to give that to the next generation as well, because they are not into books like before. Even in schools, they get tablets, they get laptops, they get computers. Now it's not the time where you get a book and you work on it, because it's multiple use. When you have a tab, you just email and you do it, of course. So having a book for any generation, whether say it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 20, 30, whatever the year gap it is, a book is always a very important thing. And I think the mini library is a power move. I would say there's more power in that initiative, and it's wonderful.
Okay, Rafi, we have done that segment. So, actually, I'm really grateful to you having an interview with you.
Thank you so much. I would say likewise. Thank you so much for having me in the bookcase segment.
Okay, have a good day.